So on the call right now with us is John Pomeroy, activist, well known. Type in John Pomeroy activist, and you can see he's done stuff in the Bay, LA, everywhere. Guy knows everybody. Guy introduced me to so many different people. Wow, was he like 6 degrees of separation, the person. So, John, you were telling me about something that you've been watching for a while, and recently some big changes or dynamics or something elevated. And I think the word you used was exemplification or something, that what you're seeing in California is an example of California to America. I know I'm not getting this right. Could you walk the viewers through what's going on and of course, the correct words to use?
Yeah, for sure. The conversation was about the California State Grange. This is an organization over 140 years in California, advocating for small farmers and ranchers, providing insurance, community resources, helivac for people that are really out in the sticks. There's all kinds of history. All you have to do is look at the California Grange website, and you can see all the history, what they've done, legislation they've gotten passed, seed freedom. I mean, it goes on. It's deep. Back in 2013, the leadership of the California State Grange had their charter revoked by the national order, and it caused a split in the organization where a majority of the leadership and membership left the California State Grange and started the California Guild, and then began a whole bunch of litigation. And while this was happening, I was very active in the organization. I was first a Granger, then a Guilder, and now an activist still, with no organization other than Return California and Yes California. All along, I have been saying that what the Guild needed to do was declare their independence from the Fed, to declare independence from this organization that has values that are polar opposite to ours. So instead of that, they went and started a guild. Not a lot changed for most of the people in the organization. Everybody was still doing the same work that they had been doing as Grangers, but they weren't preparing for this battle that was coming. And what we just saw was the California Guild lost a lawsuit. They lost $3 million. They lost their state headquarters in Sacramento. And now the new California Grange is going after all the chapters that left the Grange to go with the Guild. And so they're suing them for their property. And they have sued, I don't even know how many, but locally here, they've sued 4. In Butte County, they sued Paradise and Yankee Hill for their halls after they burned to the ground by the campfire. So this is an example of what we're seeing on the national level versus California in other political arenas. So the small farmer, the organic farmer, the one who's trying to do it right and be sustainable and nurture living soil and help the communities that they live in, got gutted by industrial ag. And we see this
is the Grange, and that's represented by America, meaning that headquarters is not here in California.
That's correct. The National Grange is a dying organization. They sued the California Guild after they split from the Grange in California, and it's symbolic of what's happening on a larger scale. Californians have been robbed yet again of their voice, of their hopes, of their wishes, and feel powerless. And all they need to do is remember how much power they actually have. And that power exists within their communities. And an organization like the Grange is all we need to restore ourselves to pre-colonial greatness with the help of our indigenous brothers and sisters.
Canal. So just to summarize for everybody there, we have the Guild here in California, and they were part of a larger organization, chapters of art officers and organizations across America. And then they said, we kind of have different values. We want to sort of run the farms this way. And then the Grange, which is a corporation basically, and just about corporate America said, no, you're going to do it our way. And then the Guild, bunch of California lefties said, okay, well, then we're going to leave. And that wasn't good enough for the big bad American corporation. They had come back into California and start pounding them into the ground. I know I'm cartooning it, but how off am I?
Just in your diction, it's a little bit confusing. The National Grange oversaw state chapters all over the country. California, by far the largest, big agricultural world, and they didn't like the direction the California Grange was going, so they revoked the charter. And when they did that, the leadership left the organization and brought a lot of the membership with them, and the Grange Guild conflict began. And it recently finished in a court of law. The Grange stole the California Guild. They stole their money, they stole their property, and now they're trying to steal their halls.
That seems very much like the undocumented immigration debate, where California said we want to do this, and the federal government said you can't, and then it got legal, and the feds are trying to do everything to come in here and just pound it down. And really what it comes down to is California just don't have the same values as Americans when it comes to immigration stuff. So I love the story, because it seems to be, here's this, and then here's this, and here's that, and here's that. And maybe on the surface they're not related, but really it's Californians butting heads with American values.
Yeah.
And all happening big time right now.
Yeah. So, I think it's important to clarify, though, that there are many Californians who align with American values, who are supportive of Trump and of, whatever he stands for. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to play that game. And I'll also say that there are lots of people in the United States who share California values. So just because you're not a Californian doesn't mean that you don't appreciate California values. And just because you're a Californian doesn't mean that you do. So there's a lot of people here in California who are fine with spraying poison on our food, who are fine with having no regulations on firearms, who would prefer if cannabis were illegal. But those people are a minority here, and I think they're a minority everywhere. And I think the mainstream media just gives them a platform to keep divisive rhetoric in the mainstream narrative. I think the last poll that I saw showed 54% of Americans identify as independent, 24% identify as Republican, and I think it was 17 and 12% respectively for moderate Dems versus Bernie-crat Dems. So no single group has even remotely as much power as the independents. And I think that's who we should be speaking to. I think we should be speaking to the independents and to the Bernie-crats. The moderates and the GOP can fuck off.
Let's keep it PG, but I hear you. Okay, we're winding our way down. Let me stop the recording there. We can do